What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I'm your host, Jimmy Smith, and I thank you for taking the time this beautiful Thursday late afternoon going into the evening. Sun's going down. Oh, but boy, was I enjoying it today. I wanted to get back to you guys after that whole Fletcher Cox being released. Had to make an explanation video of that. Really threw a damper on what I was doing. Had to go pick up the kid and the woman, and it just, yeah. So wanted to do this free agent show. I know I told you guys I would be back. Took a little longer than expected, but I appreciate you coming on back, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this later, thank you too. Thank you for hitting that like button, subscribing to the YouTube channel. Truly appreciate each and every one of you. But we're going to get this bad boy rolling. And a lot of people, were talking about, this has been the worst offseason, this, that, the other. Geez, it literally just began yesterday. Tampering began on Monday, but free agency began on Wednesday. Yesterday. Holy hell. So we talked about being patient. And look, I understand a lot of the top names are off the board. People pissed off about that. What is going on? Prime time in the building. What is up, my man? Look, I understand people are upset. And, my man King Austin making an appearance. Nice to see you, man. Everybody out there, nice to see all of you. You guys have any questions, any comments, please feel free to throw them my way. But we're going to get into this. This is the entire list of all of the free agents. We're going to talk about each position. We're going to talk about the best available and who the best fits are for the Philadelphia Eagles. So primetime, King Austin, everybody else tuning in. Hope you're all having a great day so far. But please feel free to chime in with whatever your heart desires. Which players are you looking at? And look, the way I was going to set this show up, thankfully, because there's 1,000 pictures here, I had defensive tackle first. I wanted to start with defense. I wanted to start in the trenches, but I wanted to talk about Fletcher Cox. And Fletcher Cox has now been released. We've talked about, how this was a possibility coming up. Well, here it is. It happened. So you guys know Fletcher Cox, he is released. Now, we talked about in the past, and also just the video I made earlier today, that he could possibly be back if we make a move. Now, obviously, if you would have traded him, he wouldn't be back. But you could release him, save that money that we talked about, and, you go from there. Now, the question is, how much money do you save? Now, you guys remember the graphic from way back when. Here it is. And I showed it earlier, and it could be $2 million. But now, Jason from OTC put out a pretty good article. I retweeted it. Check that out. But it explains that, with the proration, spreading that money out over 2 years. We talked about that earlier with, how we did that with Malik Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey. You're doing that with Fletcher Cox. So we don't know if we're going to save $2 million this year or $5 million. And so either way, if it's $2 million this year, it's $5 million the next, and then vice versa. So we'll see what happens there. But I've seen some reports that we're going to save $18 million. I believe the $18 million is over a 3-year period. So it's going to depend on the proration when we find out if it's $2 or $5 million cap space saved. And that is on June 2nd. So let's start with that defensive tackle position now. With Fletcher Cox being an unrestricted free agent, can do whatever he pleases. Maybe he signs back here on a cheaper contract, but it's up to him. Maybe he wants to finish his career here. Maybe he's sick and tired of the slander. Maybe he wants to move out west. I really don't know what he wants to do, but we'll find out soon enough. If he's gone, we've talked about in this draft, obviously addressing a lot of the defensive positions, pretty much every single one. But defensive interior D linemen, we'll call them, because you talk about how we have a bunch of hybrid schemes, and I feel that we're going to add players that will allow for more schemes. So you want versatile players. You've got guys like Hargrave, Milton Williams, Brandon Graham can play inside. He plays defensive end in a 3-4. So this was a graphic from that video when I had Brandon Graham in there. So I didn't take him out just for the sake of conversation then that, when he got hurt, we talked about Milton Williams taking his place, not Sweat or Barnett, because it's really not the same position. So we're talking about the guys that can play the interior when it's a 3-4. Now, in a 4-3, these are your defensive tackles for the most part. Obviously, Brandon Graham is not. But yeah, if Fletcher Cox does not come back, I would love to see us go in the draft. And that. And I cannot wait for the draft series. We're going to talk about all of that. But let's take a gander at some of the best defensive tackles still available in free agency. So Akeem Hicks is still out there. We talked about him the other day. Jerron Reed, Malik Jackson, a familiar face. Malik Collins, Carlos Watkins, Calais Campbell. For some reason, things got cut off down there. That's going to annoy me. But yeah, trying to change these graphics 3,000 times and then get it back on there. Yeah, it was awesome. So trying to make this video and with everything changing, and I wanted to keep it up to date. So if you see a name that is signed, let me know, or I'm sure I might know or whatever. But yeah, we'll keep things rolling here. And Ndamukong Suh, another guy, big name, but getting up there in age. But hey, maybe you want to bring him in, a guy that can help as a defensive end in a 3-4, can play that D tackle in 4-3, whatever you need him to do. But you've got some versatile guys here. So I wouldn't be against now signing somebody on this list. So I think for me, Akeem Hicks would be amazing if you don't bring back Fletch, but we'll see there. Now, talking about those hybrid schemes and using the 3-4, and well, sometimes you want to have a nose tackle when you're running that 3-4. You want to have a big dude that can fill up that gap. So we talked about Brandon Williams. He's still out there getting up there in age. Eddie Goldman, didn't really pan out well in Chicago, but I think that this kid could, with a change of scenery, you see a resurrection. So I would not be against signing him. You see some other familiar names on there, Hankins and Gerald McCoy, Linville Joseph. So, I mean, you could go for one of these veteran players, but I think maybe we go the younger route, draft. Yeah, so we'll see. But I don't know. Either way, I would definitely have a veteran presence there if you're letting Fletcher walk. But once again, we talk about this is about the money right now. So it's up to him if he wants to come back. So we talk about that line. Well, whether it's 4-3, 3-4, whatever you're running, we need edge rushers, right? Well, we talked about the number one thing for me was getting Hassan Reddick. So we got him. Still pretty much in shock by the fact that we have Hassan Reddick on our team, and he's in shock. Loved the presser today. That was awesome. But we're getting Brandon Graham back as well. Josh Sweat going to be part of that rotation. And look, we talked about it. He's going to essentially have that same role, but keep him fresh. And when we won the Super Bowl, we had a nice rotation. So you still want to focus on the draft. I still think you want to get younger, but you've got some guys that are younger that want to compete. Malveaux, Johnson, Jackson, Osman, Leo. They're going to be here in the summer to compete. Don't know if we bring back Avery. Highly doubt we bring back Kerrigan. And I don't think Derek Barnett will be back. So you've got to address the edge rusher position. We talked about in free agency and in the draft. So definitely want to keep my eye on that position still. So there's still some guys. This is not something you can't do. So everybody, free agency's over. It's we didn't get anybody. There's still guys available. So that's why we're here. We're talking about this. Let me know how you're feeling. Which names do you see here that you like? You can go with me with the positions. You can talk about whoever you want, but let me know how you're feeling about it. But let's take a gander at some of the edge rushers still available. Now, somebody I really like is Jerry Hughes. That's somebody who's been playing for 936 years, but we've talked about Jerry, in that past video on edge rushers, and I think he'd be a great veteran presence. And yeah, sign him. Justin Houston's out there still. Dante Fowler, JPP, Clowney, Tack McKinley, Carl Nassib was released. So you have got some edge rushers available out there, ladies and gentlemen. And I obviously stress all the time. I think we all know it starts in the trenches. So yeah, go ahead and grab yourself another edge rusher. I think there are plenty of names right there. And that is not the end of the list. There are a few of these edge rusher lists here. So you've still got some guys available, man. Whether, you're going to Brett Urban, who obviously ex-Chicago, ex-Cowboy. You've got guys like Pat O'Connor from Tampa Bay. He was not, I think he was a restricted guy. They did not tender him. You've got Everson Griffin out there. So there are definitely some veteran names. You've got guys like Steven Means, ex-Eagle. So, I mean, there is quite the list of available guys here. So if you're looking for an edge rusher, there are definitely some defensive ends. And you've even got some guys that can play defensive end in a 4-3. They can play a little outside linebacker in a 3-4, maybe not too much in coverage there, but you've got some edge rushers that could definitely fit that hybrid scheme you're trying to run. Maybe a veteran like Melvin Ingram you want to bring in. But the Eagles have options at the edge rusher position. And I think I'm going to stress that you have to go there in the draft, but you need veterans. And I think I would grab another. So Jerry Hughes would probably be my favorite on that list right there. I don't know what it is. Steven Means wouldn't be bad at depth, but I think, when you're looking at these guys. It's this guy's a veteran. He's getting older. He's not good. Jerry Hughes or Hunter or whoever it is. But you have to realize, when we had Bennett, when we had Chris Long, they weren't in their prime, but they gave us that rotation we needed. So I think I stress we need edge rushers. And that was my big key coming into this all season. Talked about ending 31st in the league in sacks with 29. That's terrible. That is terrible. So yeah, add another one, and then go ahead and draft one too. So that would be great. Please, for the love of God. Yo, my man Drew in the building. What's going on, dude? We're going through. Just talked about the defensive line, the edge rushers. So we've got the interior and the outside there. Just talking about all of the available free agents. We're going to go through every position here. So strap in, baby. And hey, hope you're having a great day still. And if you have any questions, comments, it doesn't have to be about these positions, but just going to the defense first, and then we'll hit up the offense. So let's get to linebacker next. Now, some people thinking, oh my Lord, we signed Reddick, so now we don't need a linebacker. Well, that's incorrect, because he is an outside linebacker playing the Sam linebacker position. That is not somebody that is going to be playing the role that we desperately need. So you've got Singleton, who was allowed to become an unrestricted free agent. We'll see what happens with him. But beyond that, we have Edwards. We'll see if Davian Taylor can stay healthy. Sean Bradley, Jacoby Stevens, and Christian Ellis. Yeah. Everybody says we're not going to draft a linebacker. I disagree. We have to go get Nakobe Dean or Devin Lloyd, for the love of God. If you don't get them, you get Muma, you get Walker. I don't care. You have to get a linebacker with one of those picks. Just please, for the love of God, figure it out, Howie. But we desperately need help. And look, it's not to say that I don't love the progression of TJ Edwards and Taylor and Bradley, but I still want an upgrade at the position. Don't care. Now, there are some free agents, so you could bring in a free agent and draft someone, just like we've talked about at every position. And I'm going to stress that because we need help everywhere. But that's what we talked about all of last season. We're going to have the money this year. We're going to have the draft picks to do these things. So let's do them. Now, you've got some middle linebackers here, man. And Bobby Wagner, he's the real deal. You've heard he's been talking with Dallas. That sucks. Please don't go there. I would not mind him. I know a lot of people say, he's lost it. No, he was like third in the league in tackles and didn't even play a game. So, I would not mind that, but there are other options available. Keanu Neal, he could fit that hybrid scheme, but I think I'll pass on it. But, hey, there's other options. Reggie Ragland, Jermaine Carter Jr., Hardy Nickerson Jr. There are definitely some options. Then you've got some guys that played inside linebacker, so they could be your middle linebacker. They could maybe dabble with some outside linebacker, but they come from a 3-4. Got guys like Dante Hightower, Quan Alexander, Jayon Brown, Littleton, Trevathan. I mean, there are some options here, ladies and gentlemen, at the middle linebacker position. So I think it would be wise for the Eagles, whether or not they're going to draft someone in the first round or not, to add an actual linebacker, not a pass rusher hybrid guy that, I wanted Hassan Reddick. That's exactly what this defense needs. But now you need an actual linebacker. So no, ladies and gentlemen, the signing of Hassan Reddick does not mean we are not going to address the linebacker position. And we better do it with one of these damn guys and by drafting someone. So now you see, this is quite the list of the rest of the inside linebackers. But you got Kenny Young. Oren Burks actually just signed. I can't remember where, but I did remember he signed somewhere. So that's somebody that's not on the list. But other than that, I mean, you've got some talent available. And I like Kenny Young, even though he's played on like 3 teams in the 3 years he's been in the NFL. I just think just hasn't been the right fit for him in the right scheme. But the dude's got athletic ability. And I think I'd be more than willing at a cheap price to bring in someone like Kenny Young. Now we've got some guys that are more of your outside linebackers, but not edge rushers. This is like your outside linebacker in a 4-3. So looking at guys like Anthony Barr, Malcolm Smith, Camus Grugier-Hill's there, Van Der Esch. I know some people like Gerard Davis, obviously Singleton we talked about. LJ Ford is out there. I like Jawan Bentley. I've talked about him, and I think that would be a really good signing. I think he is an underrated linebacker, young man. I think he's only played like 3-4 years. I think he would be a great addition. Also, Kazir White is somebody I think would be a great addition. We've talked about him. I think, with having those injuries, he was lucky to get a chance to shine, and he looked really good. So I'd be more than willing to give him a chance. So as you can see, there is quite the amount of linebackers available, ladies and gentlemen. So the Eagles, I do want them to address in the first round that position, but I also feel they should do that in free agency. So I know everybody, hey, pedal to the metal. We got to sign somebody. Let's be patient. I know the longer you wait, the more people are off the board, but they're talking to people. They are trying. It's not lack of trying. We have tried to sign safeties and receivers and all kinds of stuff. So I know that they're active. They're out there making deals. So we'll find out if we get any done. Now, at the corner position, Darius Slay leading the way. Love it. Don't know if we bring Nelson back, but you've got Maddox, McCain, Scott, McPherson, James, and Gowan. It's a lot of young talent. A lot of guys really competing and trying to progress, and I love it. I love the upside of some of those guys, and I think, some of those guys, are just practice squad or special teamers, and that's okay. But if we don't bring back Steven Nelson, I can't stress enough once again that a high pick on corner would be great. And, whether you get Stingley or so, I don't care, but you need to use a high pick on a corner. And I would also try to add a veteran. We talked about that last year, what that would do for Zach McPherson. I don't think he was ready. I think he'll get more snaps this year, but, having a veteran like Nelson there, very helpful. Oh, holy hell, having some chest pains here. Now, Stephon Gilmore on the top of the list. Casey Hayward, he actually was just signed. So like I said, there's going to be guys on this list that don't obviously belong on here, but it is what it is. I tried to change every single one, but I had to load all these up, and then I was like I was deleting them and then undoing all of the pictures, and it was chaos. And if Canva wouldn't have been sacked last night, I would have had this show going on. Regardless, look at those names. You've got some guys still there. Xavier Rhodes, Jimmy Smith, a little bit older, same with Kyle Fuller, but hey, maybe you bring in a veteran like that, but I'd rather have someone like a Dante Jackson. Trey Herndon, I believe, just re-signed with the Jags, but Jason Verrett, Joe Hayden's still out there. Everyone's favorite internet personality, Eli Apple. No thanks. So you want to bring in a vet like Stephon Gilmore? Oh, I would not be against that. Now, you heard Patrick Peterson yesterday on the NFL Network say he would be a great fit for the Eagles. Look, he's not the same Patrick Peterson he was years ago, but still got some talent. I just don't think that should be the route if he's looking for big money. If he's willing to sign like a cheap contract, hell yeah, come on. We'll see what happens with he and Slay side to side. I think that would be great. I'm actually a huge fan of Patrick Peterson. I think he's still got a lot left in the tank, actually, but he's not the same guy. Of course he's not. But I think anybody would be crazy if he's willing to take like a decent contract. Why not, man? Give it a shot. We need help there desperately. Darius Smith still back available. And one of Miles. We're going 1-3-4. No, Zadarius. Is that who you're asking about? I think he just signed with somebody. He was supposed to, or who was it that just backed out too? There was something going on with this Darius Smith, but no, I don't think he's available anymore. Sorry. Make just one more star signing. Who would you want? Well, that's what we're going through right here, my man. So, look, there's a lot that I have. Stephon Gilmore would be great so far. And, we talk about Jerry Hughes. Now, that's not necessarily a star. Maybe Brandon Williams at nose tackle, Eddie Goldman. So right now, no stars, but we'll keep rolling through here and we'll see who is available. Now, at corner, there's still some more guys. Guys like Richard Sherman, Trafont, McCourty, McTire, Norman. There are so many guys out there. So you could add some depth here, ladies and gentlemen. And there's also some nickel cornerbacks who, we have Avonte Maddox, but who could really help in that dime package that, Gannon wanted to run. So Kella Witherspoon did go back to Pittsburgh. That's a name I recognize that went somewhere. But Tavon Young, man, I think a veteran that I would be all about. Bryce Callahan, a little bit older, wouldn't mind that. But I think Tavon Young here would be a great name. I would be all aboard on that one. So, yes, please. Now, on to the safety position. Look, this is pretty scary when you think about McLeod and Harris are free agents. So we don't know if we're re-signing them. But I think one would be a great idea because you've got some unproven young men. And Marcus Epps, he did great last year, came out of nowhere. But this isn't, some all-pro corner or safety. Maybe he becomes, I have no idea. But Andre Sacheret, love what he did in the special teams. Really think, it was awesome that he was able to come in and help on defense. Maybe Kerry Vincent Jr. progresses. We'll find out. But, man, I think safety is definitely a position of need. So, gonna once again talk about you need to go there in the draft. I would preferably use one of my first rounders. But look, we'll wait for the draft show to talk about that. But I think bringing a veteran in, no matter what you do in the draft, you have to have a veteran presence there. Rodney McLeod, if he comes back for the right price, I would be more than happy with that. But there are some other guys available now. The Honey Badgers out there, and I think that's most people's number one. For me, I would not mind that at all. I think, he's getting up there in age, but he's still got a lot left in the tank. I think he's like 29, played for 9 years, I believe. But we talked about that during the safety show, Marcus May was 29, but he's only played in 5 years. So it's really weird, but I don't think he's too old. I don't know how much he's going to want. That's, I think becomes an issue. So beyond that, maybe a Terrell Edmonds, Jabril Peppers. We know he can help in the return game. He's a playmaker. Maybe you get him at the right price, be that third safety. You've got Jaquiski Tart out there. Anthony Harris, obviously. Jaron Curse was somebody that stepped in pretty well for Dallas. We talked about him. The Shazer Ever was let go by Washington. So the Commanders, Ronnie Harrison out there. So you've got some tough, strong safeties out there, man. I know some people would be interested in Landon Collins. I kind of think he's fallen off. I think I'm good there. But you've definitely got some options at the safety position. And, beyond that, I think you also have to look at Tavon Wilson. I think, in Detroit, he did some things that I liked. I think in San Fran, they've got some good defensive backs there. So given a chance, I think he could be pretty good. But hey, you never know. I think I would go with the higher echelon, probably someone like a Tyrann Mathieu before anyone like that. But you've got someone like Jaleel Adai. He's definitely getting up there in age, but there are options, guys that could come in. Ricardo Allen, DeMonte Kazee, McCourty, Washington. I mean, there are definitely some guys available. So the safety position it's also pretty loaded. So you're looking at this. That was the entire defense there, ladies and gentlemen. So let me know how you're feeling. Which defensive players do you like the most? If I had to go with a star player like King Austin and Ass, I think on the defensive side of the ball, when we're looking at all those guys, I think Akeem Hicks would probably be my number one. If Fletcher Cox doesn't come back. Beyond that, then it would probably have to be Stephon Gilmore would be pretty awesome. But I would not be against, adding Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu. That would be, oh yeah, I would be okay with that. So a lot of options. I'm trying to figure out what happened here. I think I meant to put him because he was in it on the website I was using. They had him as a safety, PJ Williams. That is somebody I really like. I'm not sure if he was on the nickel cornerback page or one of those safety pages, but that's somebody, he can play outside corner. He can play the nickel corner. He can play free safety, strong safety. That's what we're talking about in Jonathan Gannon's defense. I think any defense should want that. But, with those hybrid schemes you're trying to run, I think that's the perfect kind of safety, corner, whatever you want to call him, dude, defensive back that can come in and really – he can do some things, man. So I would be more than okay with adding PJ Williams. That would probably, he's not a star, but that would probably be my number one right now. I'd love to have a guy like that in the secondary. So yes. Darius, yeah, it was the Ravens again. Yeah, no doubt. Darius backed out. Yeah, and that's what I was trying to say. So he backed out or something happened. So I think he is a free agent again, maybe, or I have no idea. But yeah, I think you guys are on the right track there. All in for Honey Badger or Ant Harris? Yeah, look, like I said, either Ant Harris or Rodney McLeod. I don't care. Just you got to have a veteran to help these guys. And look, I want to believe that Kayvon Wallace is going to be healthy and he's going to improve, but I need to see it. So you bring in a proven guy that can help, whether we get a first round, second round, third, whatever safety, you got to help them progress. So a veteran leader, that would be something we need. So all about it. How much is it? Well, I have no idea, but it really comes down to, do they want to take less money to go to a contender, or do they want to come to an unproven team that seems like it's going to have some fun? So I don't know. It sounded like we gave Hassan Reddick some money. You know what I mean? So it wasn't just about like, I'm coming home. Like, we got money. And, people, for whatever reason, think we don't. That's why I make those videos, to explain how much money we will have. So I think we're going to have some money here, ladies. Well, we are, and we're going to spend it. So just be patient. We try to get guys like Marcus Williams, so it's like there's been a lot of offers out there and we just kind of missed, and that sucks. But one of the places we missed was wide receiver, where everybody and their mom, we didn't get this guy. I get it. Look, I'm excited talking about a lot of these guys too. It would be fun to see them in this offense. But we talked about, are they going to want to come to a team where the quarterback is unproven? Like a lot of these guys wanted more targets. We talked about Allen Robinson not being Alshon. Wow. Wrong ex-Bear, but Allen Robinson wanting more targets. Was he going to get that here? No. So, I mean, those are things you have to keep in mind, but you never know when a guy, just knows he could be the right fit for a young quarterback or whatever. I think you're going to see in a second, probably my number one star player, King Austin. So you'll get your answer. But, Devontae Smith, love that kid. And Quez Watkins, I believe, will be a great, great trio of whoever we add. So my thing is, Jalen Reagor, I don't think he's cut this year like a lot of people. I think he's given this year to see what he can do this offseason. And it's unfortunate to not see anything from him yet. And, with such a talented kid, it's all upstairs, and that's unfortunate. So we're hoping that he gets everything right and turns into that first round pick we know he is. So, man, unfortunate, because beyond that, you brought back Greg Ward, but then you've got Deion Kane, Hightower, and Arcega-Whiteside. So, we talked about going in the draft, but adding a veteran wide receiver to this group. Greg Ward cannot be that veteran wide receiver. So as much as I want to go in the draft, you need to add a veteran wide receiver. So I think the perfect guy to come in, and look, he played with a terrible quarterback in Baker Mayfield. I think he's get to step up with Jalen Hurts, but he knows, with that slot locked down, what he could do to help Jalen Hurts, would be huge. And that would open things up for Quez Watkins and Devontae Smith. I think he is a perfect fit for what we need. So I would be all aboard the Jarvis Landry train. Julio Jones, I've seen some people talking about that. Look, I like Julio. He was so fun to watch when I was younger. So, yeah, I don't want to disrespect him, but he's getting up there, man. And I don't know if I want to pay him money and get excited and take up a roster for somebody that I don't even know if he's going to play half a season. So, not to badmouth the man, but I think I might pass on that one. I think I would definitely make a play for Jarvis Landry. A lot of people have talked about Pascal, obviously his familiarity with the coaching staff. Odell is everybody's favorite to talk about every offseason. We'll see if the Rams want to bring him back. They just got Allen Robinson. So they say they have enough money, and I'm sure we all know you can move things around, but damn, dude, if they bring him back, that'd be nuts. But there's guys like Crowder and Smith-Schuster we talked about during that receiver video. There are guys still available. A.J. Green, T.Y. Hilton, Will Fuller, James Washington, Sanders. There's some guys, but I think if you add Jarvis Landry, that would be amazing. If you could add Landry and then add in if you could get like an A.J. Green here, that'd be hilarious. Maybe you get somebody like a Gunnar Oslewski. He can help you in the slot. He can help you in the return game. Maybe a Byron Pringle who can do the same. Look, there's some options here. DeAndre Carter was someone, we talked about, obviously, with him being here before, and Demarcus Robinson. I just saw Valdez Scantling signed somewhere, I think maybe with the Bears or something. I don't know, but he's no. It was not Valdez Scantling. He was actually Equanimous St. Brown, I believe. So, just rewind on that. Sorry, there's so many effing names and information going through my head the last few days. It's but you've got some guys there. A lot of those guys with some return capabilities. So maybe you bring them in for that reason, provide you some depth at receiver, and they help you in the return game. So some options there. And then this is the final list of the receivers, but you've got guys like Sammy Watkins still playing out there. There's definitely some guys that I think you could bring in, and they could help this receiving core by not even just being on the field, but being that veteran presence. So for me, though, number one, Jarvis Landry. Go out, Philadelphia Eagles. Howie Roseman, you just got your contract. Everybody's happy. You've got money. Go spend it. Go get Jarvis Landry. Add him to this offense, and it would vastly help Jalen Hurts and the rest of this Eagles team. So I would be all about it. Yes, they did, man. Very crazy. That was another graphic I had to change because I would have loved to have Allen Robinson. And obviously I had to change that. So, Lord help us all. Now, the tight end position we've talked about, we know Dallas Goedert is tight end one now, but we've got Jackson, Stoll, Togiai, and Rogers back. Jason Kroom, he is unrestricted now. Sorry about that. No, I didn't. This is the older graphic. Sorry, there's just way too much going on. But anyways, this is the group of people, but I did make it look better. Just didn't save it. Anyway, so you've got guys like Jackson, Stoll, who have great upside, but the problem is, do they stay healthy? There's so many questions here. So, I like the room, but I know we're going to run a lot of 12 and 13 personnel. So, would not be against. We talk about in the draft, there's some guys, with that also the H-back capability, like Jack Stoll that we talked about last year. I, I don't know if I necessarily worry too much. Best player available in the draft. That's what we need to do right now, but there's a lot of holes. So I think you could get the job done in free agency. You could bring in a veteran tight end, and I think that would do. I don't think you need to go out of your way, use a draft pick. Maybe there's a guy you love, though. So we'll see. But there are some guys that could provide, that tight end too that you really, really would like to see. And those other guys can be that third tight end in that 13 personnel. You've got now Austin Hooper. That's someone who's probably going to want a little bit too much money for me, my liking. So maybe a guy like Gerald Everett. I'm good on Graham and Gronk. I don't want any of the older guys. Jarwin, that was a surprise release. I wouldn't be against that, to be honest with you. Jared Cook out there. Jesse James, a big dude. Robert Tonyan, even. Anthony Fursker, Michael Pruitt, some blockers out there. So give me a guy that can run somebody over. I want a blocking tight end that can also help you in the passing game. And one of those guys, not on this list, but James O'Shaughnessy, I think, would be a great fit. We talked about not long ago. But there are guys like Blake Bell, Troy Fumagalli. There are guys that you can bring in and would be a great help at tight end too. So not against that. Now, when it comes to sleeper, underrated, unrestricted free agents, I think Jordan Akins, somebody in a crowded tight end room there in Houston. They've got a lot of young talent there. He right now, I think, would be perfect, a perfect fit for the Philadelphia Eagles. A guy that can block. He's a big ass dude, but he can catch the ball too. He can go out and get the long ball. This dude is actually your jack of all trades kind of tight end. I think that'd be a no brainer for me. Or maybe you want to go after a veteran guy like Tyler Conklin. There are definitely some options at the tight end position, ladies and gentlemen. But we're going to keep this skill position thing going here. But if you guys like any of those tight ends, wide receivers, let me know how you're feeling. Which of those guys would you bring on to the team? And now we're going to get to the running back position. And Miles Sanders, love the dude. But I don't know if this is his last year or if he even plays this year, if we trade him or what's going to happen there. But always got love for Miles Sanders. But this is a business, so we'll always have to be prepared. Now, we talked about in the future, maybe getting younger, drafting someone to go with Kenneth Gainwell, a bruising back. Whatever you want to do, but you've got a young man in Jason Huntley who could be your Boston Scott if he walks. He can sign wherever he wants now. We did not tender him, so he's unrestricted free agent. Jordan Howard's unrestricted free agent. So you've got running backs that you could bring back in the fold, but if not, you got Miles, Kenny, and Jason. So that's a slim room there, ladies and gentlemen. So you better figure something out. I would not be against drafting a young guy. I think we should do that. You could probably get one in the second or third round. And I've got some choices, and I can't wait for the draft show to talk about that, but don't want to get off track here. But I think there is some talent to add. And if you want to go the veteran route, you could definitely do that. You don't want to bring back Jordan Howard. Maybe you want to see if Jeff Wilson could stay healthy. Bring him in. Sony Michel, Melvin Gordon, Fournette, Cordero Patterson. That's somebody who he would do well here. I think not being the number one receiver, not being the number one running back, so that poor dude, he was running to the ground. So I think we should definitely look into Cordero Patterson. I would love to see him. One of the best kick returners I've ever watched. Then you just have to worry about the punt return because I think he's only taken one punt return in his life. But regardless, I would love to have Cordero Patterson. And you got other guys, Marlon Mack. We've talked about the familiarity with Sirianni and the staff. Tariq Cohen got released. There's a lot of options here, ladies and gentlemen. So I would not be against a lot of these guys. I think Cordero Patterson probably my favorite on that list. But Latavius Murray's out there. That's a bruiser, just like Jordan Howard. Everybody liked that. Rashad Penny can't stay healthy, but maybe he could. I don't know. You give him a shot for cheap. There's a lot of options here. Alex Collins, when given a chance, had moments where he shined. Corey Clement's out there. You've got a lot of options here. So if you want to go get yourself a veteran running back, you could do so. I also like Justin Jackson. One of those, things where, Sproles, he just had too many running backs there. LT was there, Matthews then, and, they get rid of Sproles. And Well, Justin Jackson got a lot of guys over there, Eckler and Roundtree. Well, Justin Jackson now allowed to walk. I think, I would be all aboard adding Justin Jackson. Can catch the ball, runs tough, can block. I think, yeah, I would be all aboard that train. A young man, 24, 25. Peyton Barber. There's some options here, guys that can help you in the return game, passing game. So, yeah, Jerick McKinnon, Olympic speed. That dude, he looked pretty well last year in Kansas City. So, given the right opportunity, some of these guys, you never know. Kalen Ballage did not work out well, but that's a bruising back too. So, you have some options there at running back. So, let me know, who do you like there? Who would you sign? For me, I think Cordero Patterson is probably the guy I would take from that list, but Latavius Murray too, Justin Jackson are definitely names that I like. Now, the quarterback position. This is one everybody, we're trading for Deshaun Watson. No, Jalen Hurts. It's time to find out if you are the quarterback. And I feel bad for you, man, because you're only going to get your second year as starter, third year in the league to show what you've got. But we're building around you. We're giving you weapons. And we're going to find out, man. And I loved the progression last year. You know, a lot of people are misconstrued about this kid and his arm strength or this, that, the other thing. I mean, the dude's got a cannon. It's just about his timing, the reads. We've talked about these things all damn last season. He's got the talent. He's nothing but a hard worker. So he's going to strive to get better. I can't wait to see how much better he's gotten. If not, you've got a draft and you've got even more money the next year. So this year, I'm focused on Jalen Hurts, QB1. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. And let's just build around him like we talked about. Give him a defense and give him some more weapons, and let's see what happens. Now, up next is the free agent quarterbacks that could back him up. Look, if you want to trade Gardner Minshew, maybe the Colts are looking for a quarterback. Somebody else is desperate. They want Gardner Minshew. You trade him away, get a draft pick. That's fantastic. Well, then you're going to need a veteran because Reed Sinnett is not going to be your backup. Now you've got guys. We talked about Brissett last year. You know, obviously Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, all that familiarity. There's guys like Mariota people still love. Jameis Winston out there, Josh Johnson, Blaine Gabbert, Cam Newton. There's a lot of options out here if you want to bring a veteran in to back up Jalen Hurts. You've got guys like Dobbs, Brandon Allen. I think Brandon Allen actually went back to Cincinnati, but regardless, Sean Mannion, look at him out there. I thought he was supposed to be a top 40 quarterback. Anyways, we'll keep this bad boy moving along. Let me know, which veteran quarterback would you bring on? I think Jacoby Brissett would be a good backup for Hurts. Obviously, he knows what Sirianni's trying to do, so not against that. Now, the offensive line here, you see that obviously Nate Herbig back. We tendered him. That is awesome. So we've got some depth here. We don't know who is going to be the starter at the right guard position. Or left guard, honestly, because it was Sayamalu's job at left guard, but Landon Dickerson was phenomenal over there. Not sure you want to move him, but we'll see what we do there. Happy as hell to have Kelsey back, so we should have one of the most dominant offensive lines again next year, and I can't wait to see that. So let's get into the tackles first. Let's talk about some guys that could possibly come in and back up Lane Johnson or Jordan Mailata if you possibly were to trade Andre Dillard. So we've talked about trying to get some value. He got to play in a few games, started a couple last year, so his value went up. You love that. So you get rid of him, you're going to want to bring somebody in. So we talked about guys like Brandon Shell in the video before. We've talked about guys that I think would be perfect backups. You're not going to get a Teron Armstead. We've got tackles. We don't need that. We don't need Eric Fisher, who probably could start somewhere. There are guys that Dennis Kelly, man, he was depth in Green Bay. We talked about him in the video. I would take the Undertaker back in a second. I think he would be perfect depth. So for me, I would definitely take Dennis Kelly off that list. Now you've got JP still out there and some other veteran names, but yeah, I wouldn't be against JP. I think that he obviously is probably going to retire, but I love the dude, always will. But yeah, don't come back. I'll be real with you. Don't do that. Don't tarnish your legacy anymore. Just please retire. I hate even looking at you in a Bears uniform. It's making me sick. Let's get out of it. Now, up next, we've got some guards available. Andrew Norwell just signed with Washington, so sorry about that. But you've got Incognito, Hernandez, Garcia, Duvernay, Tarif, Spain, Holden. So you've got some options there. And yeah, I think it'd be wise to add some depth to the guard position. But once again, you want to draft for some young men to take over. But we've got some young men that are, fighting for a job right now. So It's not dire need, but you should definitely add somebody in the draft. And if you want to add a veteran, sure, go ahead. Bring somebody in that you think maybe could compete for a starting job. I'm okay with that, but I'm kind of okay with what we have and just focusing on the draft. Now at center, you don't know Jason Kelsey, how long he's going to be around, but the Browns just let go of Treader. You've got guys out there that maybe you don't feel comfortable with, say, Amalu switching to center. Maybe you don't like Urbic going there. Whatever your heart, wherever it is, we'll have to find out because look, right now, I think Jason Kelsey is the man, but I highly doubt he stays more than 1 year, obviously, after all that's been going on. So, draft for me. But yeah, if you like any of those names, please feel free to let me know because there are so many names available here. Bring in Collins from the Cowboys. All right. Lot of names available. Which Collins? Lyle. Yes, he was released. That's an option, but I think Collins will probably go somewhere where he can start. So for me, I think Dennis Kelly would be the perfect depth. Now, we went through offense. We went through defense. We went through each position. Let me know how you're feeling about that, but we're not done yet because we never leave out the special teams. So let's get into it first. We're looking at our room. I love Jake Elliott, but Sipos, he looked good at first and then scared the living hell out of us at the end of the season. So probably going to need to bring in some competition for him this offseason. Rick Lovato, love him as long snapper. So think we're good there, but just going to show you the list anyway, just because I can. And in case you're watching this video, maybe you're not even an Eagles fan. You just want to know who's available. Well, you've got the list here. So there's some long snappers available. But here is where I'm focused. Maybe Johnny Hecker gets brought in. Maybe Pat O'Donnell, Anger, Huber, Lee. There's some veteran guys that could come in and provide you with punter that actually, you feel reliant on. And we didn't really have that at the end of last year. So at least bring someone in that's going to push Sipos. I was surprised we didn't do that last year. We saw how that ended. So yeah, I would focus there. Now there's some available kickers out there. Zerloin. Hey, I'm telling you, it must have not saved when I added some of these new graphics, but Zerloin's supposed to be on there, and I knew. So if you want a kicker, there you go. But up next, this is an area of the Eagles I think could really use an improvement. We talked about, getting somebody that can help you not only as a receiver or running back or whatever, but in the return game as well. Because the reason I emphasize that is because we desperately need it. Jalen Reagor last year did nothing in the return game other than a few times that it really showed a spark, and it was like, But I would go for an upgrade here. I don't know why it didn't save these graphics, but yeah, those guys are Greg Ward's back with the team. Boston Scott is an unrestricted free agent. So Quez Watkins, Jason Huntley, Kenneth Gainwell. These are the guys that we used last year as returners. Kenneth Gainwell is finally getting some returns at the end of the year. That's great, but we need an improvement. So once again, let's talk about Cordero Patterson. This is the number one return specialist on my list. And, I think it's a no-brainer. This guy could help you all over the field. We see DeAndre Carter out there. Andre Roberts, a really, really good return man that can help you as a receiver. You've got some options here, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're looking for somebody that can strictly help you in that return game and then they add a little bit something, that's the guys I put on this list. So you get yourself a return man, and then they can help you in their respective positions. So I think a guy like Dontrell Hilliard would be awesome. We talked about him in the running back. Yeah, go ahead and add him. And then there's an entire other list of more guys. So maybe you bring back Corey Clement, helps you in the return game. I think I'm good there. But, you've got some options here. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is your entire list of free agents, every single position. So let me know how you're feeling about that. I think for me, my top picks would be PJ Williams on defense / Akeem Hicks, because it all really depends on the Fletcher Cox situation. If Fletch doesn't come back, then yeah, go after Akeem Hicks, go after, Calais Campbell, Brandon Williams, Eddie Goldman, somebody big in that middle. But if not, yeah, I think PJ Williams would be a great pickup. Some of those, look, the safeties, man, that we talked about, I think there's definitely some options. Let me go find that page again here real fast. But I think, obviously the Honey Badgers, what everybody, is the number one. But I think Terrell Edmonds, Jabril Peppers, they would be sneaky good. But yeah, I think overall, think Jarvis Landry is my number one on offense for sure. But Cordero Patterson, my God, could you imagine if we added Jarvis Landry, Cordero Patterson? If you don't retain Hicks or Cox, then get Hicks and get yourself someone like PJ Williams who can help you out all over that secondary. That'd be a pretty good free agency. And then you just load up in the draft. So there it was, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, I'm not against Tyrann Mathieu or Patrick Peterson. I think those would be great additions. Stephon Gilmore, even. I just don't know if those guys want to come here. I know Peterson does, but that's one of those cases where I think the older kind of talk we had where it's not sure. But if he comes here, I'll be all about it. All about it. Just depends on how much we spend on him. So let's find that out first before I get excited. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know how you're feeling below. Comment down below. Who would you like to see the Eagles select? If you're watching this later, please let me know. Who do you want the Eagles to sign here? I am running on fumes here, ladies and gentlemen, though. I made as many graphics as I possibly could, did what I could for you. But I'll keep you updated when we sign. You can follow me on all these platforms. Always trying to post when something happens, but always try to make a video when something important happens that we need to talk about. So hit that subscribe button. Turn that notification bell on, and you will know when it's time to talk some birds. But I appreciate you guys taking the time. Hope you're enjoying this beautiful weather today. I will be back, hopefully, the next time we make a signing here, and I'm sure there will be in the next couple of days. We'll do something, but stay patient, like we talked about. You remember the Super Bowl year? Only made a couple signings, and then you span it out over a few months. Well, I say a few months because we made that trade then, but it took like a month or so to get all the guys we did, Patrick Robinson, all that stuff. So let's stay patient here. Believe this team's going to make the right moves, and I think they will. But I hope you're all having a great night. Reach out if you need me. Comment down below. You want to talk some birds. Tell me who you like, whatever it is. But I'll be back the next time there's breaking news. If not, I'm going to come back in a couple days. We're going to talk about who's left. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you're all staying safe out there. Reach out if you need me. Thank you again. And as always, go Birds!